So there's optimism for strategic change, I'm reading, new security reality. This optimism, what is driving the market, and what are the investors, what are they buying into?
There are two parts to this. Recently, we have an uncertainty regarding if and when war between Iran and Israel will erupt, and if so, in what shape. Now the war has already begun, and we see the shape it takes, and the possibility of benign and swift ending, hopefully, for the conflict is way better than it used to be before the war began. And I think that the investors are taking it into account. And also, they take into account the fact that the Israeli economy as itself is a very strong one with very, very quick GDP growth. For example, in the first quarter of 2025, the GDP growth came up 5% relative to the same quarter last year. We have a very good, strong industry sector. We have the export of natural gas. We have a very, very good high-tech sector here in Israel, and a low level of unemployment. And all of these things make Israel very attractive in normal times. And should the war that began lead to a normal time, then I think that the investor will enjoy all these advantages that I just mentioned.
I want to take note of your high-tech exports, which make up 53% of your country's exports. How does it manage to weather being war-torn or the impact of wars going on, two concurrent wars in the country?
As other sectors in the economy, the war is not a positive development for the high-tech sector, but it has its unique advantages. And you know that the demand out of Israel for the Israel expertise and knowledge is always high. And people are looking beyond the war, and they have medium to long-term needs and necessities. And this is the reason why I think that the war itself has mitigated the influence on the activities of Israel high-tech.
As far as trade is concerned, we talk about exports, we think about President Trump. I believe the Middle East has been sheltered from that for the most part. I think it's 10% tariffs on the Middle East. Has there been any impact from the global trade war that President Trump has mounted?
Well, the last number that I recall Israel concerned is 17%. But as you said, Israel has unique export advantages, like from the defense industry, which is now in demand in Europe and other places. You know, there is the spirit of the war between Ukraine and Russia also lying there. So I think that because of the uniqueness of the Israeli exports, it is rather sheltered from any difficulties concerning possible world trade or maybe some movements from the European Union towards Israel in the near future, if they occur.
We're also seeing strength in the Israeli shekel as well against the greenback. Can you give us your take on what's happening with the currency, and do you expect the trend to continue?
I think that the Israeli currency simply mirrors the behavior of the stock market and the data of the economic activities. People know that should this war comes up with a very, very benign environment for investment in Israel, in the whole region, there are many, many opportunities. You need the shekels to exploit these opportunities. Investors think on behalf, and this might be one of the reasons. And I should also remind you, Emily, that the interest rate here in Israel is rather high. For example, in Europe, it goes down. So there are also opportunities in the local financials markets.